Welcome to In the Arena. I'm your host, Mindy McAlindon. Joining us today in the arena is Dana Schlagenhaft. She is the Executive Director of Downtown-Bentonville, Inc., an organization designed to promote community and to enhance the downtown experience. I can't wait to hear more. So Dana, welcome to In the Arena.
Hi, thanks for having me.
I am so glad to have you here. We've talked about downtown Bentonville, and I just want more people to know about what your organization does, because I don't think a lot of people know. So first, give us a little background about how you got here. How did you get to downtown Bentonville?
Well, I got here because I've lived here my whole life. So grew up in Bentonville.
You're one of the few these days.
I'm a rare bird these days. And then I ended up, my background is, went to the U of A. I've been in broadcast journalism for several years, started my own retail business for a little while, have done PR and marketing, and then joined the board at DBI and ended up working my way up to being executive director here. And I couldn't be more thrilled because I get to do this all in the place I grew up. It's amazing.
So it is amazing. When you and I have spoken, I've always been impressed with your background because it is just so diverse, but you're so accomplished in everything that you've done. So what drew you to be with Downtown Bentonville, Inc.? There's so many other things you could have done. Why DBI?
Oh, goodness. Why not? First of all, it's a wonderful organization that has had so many people before me do so much work to build this community. So if you grew up, when I grew up in Bentonville, people didn't come downtown. And in fact, it was kind of a joke. You came for choir performances or if you had to go to court. And so it wasn't this vibrant, wonderful community where you can come have ice cream on the square and see your neighbors and listen to music. People have done a lot of work on the front end through DBI for the last 20, 25 years to build this community. And, I'm just happy to be able to extend that work and get to do it in this wonderful city. So, why not DBI? It's the best organization. We have a wonderful board and a very supportive community that rallies behind us.
Well, and your diverse background has certainly prepared you for all the different things that happen within this organization. So let's start there. What exactly is the mission of DBI?
We enhance the downtown experience for everyone. So, how do you do that? It's through beautiful farmers markets and music that pops up on a Saturday afternoon. And it's through farmers markets where you see your kids' teachers and their friends and, wonderful experiences. It's through the Christmas parade and lighting of the square where the whole community gets together and launches the Christmas season here in downtown Bentonville. And then it's through storytelling. So, that's been the wonderful part about DBI is our organization's been very generous in letting me really lean into my background in broadcast journalism. And so they've allowed me to launch a TV show and do a TV show around, everything Bentonville. So, that's all about DBI in a nutshell. And we're a nonprofit. So we do it all, for the community.
And how do you interact with, say, the City of Bentonville or Visit Bentonville? Like, how do you interact with those organizations? Do you kind of have your territory that you each cover, or is it a pretty seamless interaction?
We all have our own missions and our own audiences. So Visit Bentonville is clearly going to be focused on increasing tourism in this community. Mm-hmm. We work with the City of Bentonville every day, mainly because of construction and, navigating a farmer's market around street closures and construction is complicated. And so we have some really good partners there that we pick up the phone every day and say, well, what's the status of this and how can we adjust that? And so that's all the things that people see that people don't see as we're getting our work done is all of those relationships and partnerships that we navigate every day.
That is great. And you mentioned the farmers market and the Christmas parade. Are there other signature projects or programs that you think really have helped define this downtown experience?
I would say the thing that defines DBI and the experience downtown the most is our Christmas parade. And it's the event I just cherish the most. It's also the one that I think I have a lot of grays because of it, because it's the put together. But it really showcases the community. You see everyone downtown. You see floats and all different cultures and all different schools involved. And so it feels like such a community gathering. And then the extension of it, we produce the whole thing and show it on Christmas morning on television. So, what other community has this wonderful parade, and then this Macy's level production with big crane jibs that come in and film the whole thing. We produce it for a few days after the parade and get to show it to the community. So that's been a project and something that I hope stands the test of time well past when I'm at DBI.
That is wonderful. I will say the Christmas lighting is probably one of my favorite events that y'all put on. It is, I tell people, like, it is like being in a Hallmark movie. Like, you just do not understand it's small town with, just like you said, big town production, big town events, but it is truly still a small town. So I think that is one of my favorite events to attend that y'all do.
And that's the balancing act, is how do you do these events that could be seen in big cities that have that kind of quality, but that still have the heart of Bentonville. So we want to be authentic to who we are, and we don't want to change that, but we want to do it in the best possible way we can. And so that's our goal with every event.
Yeah. And so that actually leads me to my next question, because I think that is, when I go and I knock doors, when I talk to constituents, one of the things I constantly hear is the growth, and they either love it or they hate it. There's not a lot of middle ground with people on growth, right? It's either people who've lived here or even people who moved here 10 years ago who would be like, I liked it where it was, or new people that are coming that are so excited about all the new things that are coming. How do you balance that when you talk about a downtown experience? Because those are two really different experiences.
They are two very different experiences. Our focus at our organization, we like to say internally, we're the keepers of the culture. And so, we can't always control the investments or the growth that's happening, but we can control, the heart of our community and sharing it with people that come in or people that have been here for 30 plus years. And so, we want to understand what makes this community so special. Why are people coming here in droves? And we want to make sure that they know why, and that, our community is special, and we're going to continue, keeping it that authentic feel that everyone loves. DBI likes to call ourselves the entry point to downtown. We host free events. We make sure that it's not super expensive. We host family-friendly events. So we make sure that it's something that you would feel very comfortable taking any person in your family to enjoy downtown. And if we can do those things and do it with a smile on our face and look at you in the eye and say good afternoon, then I think we've accomplished keeping Bentonville, Bentonville.
Yeah, that is a great mission. So for someone who's never come to Bentonville, you say that you're the keeper of the culture. Describe the culture of Bentonville.
I say, and I've said this many times, the culture of Bentonville is walking down the street, looking at someone in the eye and saying hello and good morning and how are you? And half the time you know them and half the time you don't. If we can maintain that small town charm, no matter how big we grow, then we've kept that culture. And, when I travel and go other places and I notice, I might be smiling and looking at people and maybe they're not smiling back. I know we'll keep that going in Bentonville. As long as I'm here, that's something that's important to me.
That is great. Do you have one project or one thing that you have worked on that you are most proud of at your time at DBI?
Personally, Downtown Now, our television show, is something I'm incredibly proud of. I launched it 5 years ago, right at the forefront of COVID, and was just filming stories with a GoPro camera. And since then, we find out in 2 or 3 days if we're nominated for another Emmy. And so we've really raised the production value. We make sure that it's stories that really showcase what makes this community great. I have a wonderful partner in Aaron Nolan, who has an extensive background in journalism as well. But we get to now tell good stories. Being in news, it was always very complicated stories that sometimes really just broke your heart. And now we get to do a television show where we drive the content and we find the stories that we get excited about and want to share with others. And we get to just do that for a job. And it's the most amazing thing. And every once in a while, a kid will come by and yell, I see you guys at Skylight, or I watched your show at Skylight. And we know those stories are being shared, and that's cool.
That is very cool. And so what kind of stories are you sharing? Well, first, this is on a YouTube channel. Is that right?
Sure. It is. It's on a YouTube channel. It's also on television on Sunday mornings. So people can watch it on, we're about to change channels. So I will say, check our Facebook page to see where we're going to be, but they can watch it Sunday mornings. And then also on YouTube, you can also see us before any of the movies at Skylight Cinema downtown. And we're sharing all kinds of stories. Oh goodness. From a girl that was a pickleball star in our community to we just interviewed Gino Bell, who used to play for the Razorbacks and play professional football, about his role within Walmart and what football has taught him and his family. So
Yeah.
it's a wide range of different topics and interviews, but it's just all wonderful stories. And really that's the building blocks of what makes Bentonville so special.
And really the hometown stories, right? It is the local stories. I like the way that DBI shares the culture of Bentonville through storytelling. I think that's part of how you're able to keep that culture. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that's what it seems like to me, that it is that storytelling, just like you sat at your grandparents' feet and they told you stories and you learned who you were and who your family was. I feel like that's kind of what y'all are recreating. Is that fair to say?
It's really important that we share, where our community has been and then who we are and where we're going. And so, we just came out with a 22-minute documentary about the bank robbery downtown in Bentonville that happened years and years and years ago. But if you grew up in Bentonville, you remember the reenactments of the bank robbery. But we wanted to give that context and that story because I have vague memories, but I don't remember why we did a reenactment other than it was something that happened a long time ago. So we researched it and found historians, and our wonderful producer and videographer and editor, Kyle Yazzie, put the whole thing together. And, that's something now that when none of us are at DBI, I hope that's still there and everyone will be able to see those stories and hear them. So whether it's something like that or something like, the girl that played pickleball, or Cam that, runs downtown every day with his father, those are the stories that we want to share and make sure people connect with. When new people hear them, then they have a connection point with this community. So it's helping them build that foundation as well.
I think that is so important and so true. I will tell you, one of the first things we did when we came here, we moved here about 10 years ago, was we went to the farmer's market. And then next thing that we did was we watched the reenactment of the bank robbery.
Oh, wow.
And it was one of our most fond memories. And it really did, in this weird, I knew nothing about it. I don't know whose bank it was or why it was robbed or who robbed it. But I tell you what, at that moment, I was part of the community, right? I knew the stories, I'm part of the history, and it was really great. And I love that you were telling that story and telling all the stories you're telling, because it's really important.
That story in particular is a really interesting reflection of Bentonville, because the bank got robbed, but the people fought back. And so it's another part of our culture that we have this very strong community that doesn't put up with stuff like that. And so that's a wonderful thing to continue to share. It's a great part of the story.
Yeah, that is great. I look forward to watching it, actually. Mm-hmm. So tell me what kind of new projects or partnerships that you have on the horizon that you might be excited about.
Oh, goodness. New partnerships. We have a wonderful A Street Promenade that's about to open in November. We'll have the full length of the promenade will be done. And that's been because of wonderful partnerships and investments downtown, the City of Bentonville and Parks and Rec that have really driven that project. But DBI will get to do a lot of the activations on it. And so we're really excited to see how we can stop closing some of the roads in front of the small businesses and be able to bring some of our events onto this pedestrian walkway that will continue to grow and expand. Next year, there's going to be a big park and a big amphitheater outside of it as well. So that's what we're seeing on the horizon for the next 2 to 3 years at DBI, is how can we use spaces like that are these wonderful community spaces for gathering and celebrating and listening to music and having surprises that the community will stumble upon when they're downtown.
And what a great balance to strike between bringing that community together, but still respecting the businesses, because it is really difficult if you have a business down there when all these closings go on. And so that's a really interesting balance that you're able to kind of come together and provide something for everybody.
I did. So I have experience as a downtown business owner, not in this downtown. I had a business in another downtown, but I will say one time, and I've told some business owners here this story, I opened the door to my store and a event organization had put a pipe and drape in front of my door. And so I communicate to the businesses, I understand our events sometimes can hinder business or make it complicated. And we do everything we can to make sure we're bringing people downtown, but also, putting them at your doorstep so that we're being a good foster business as well.
That is great. I love hearing all the things that DBI is doing. And I'm glad we have an opportunity to share that, because people just, I don't think they realize how many things, how many activities are really going on behind the scenes. Y'all are a lean crew, but you do quite a bit. So let me ask you one more question before I let you go. If you could sum up the future of Bentonville, downtown Bentonville, in one word or one phrase, what would that be?
So a few years ago, we did a campaign that said a downtown for everyone. And so that word everyone really sticks with me because, I'm very aware if there's perceptions that downtown can be expensive. It can be expensive to come have an evening downtown. And so a big mission of DBI is to make sure that everyone has access to our downtown. And that's through a farmer's market, a First Friday, an opportunity to come hang with your family at a movie night that's family friendly and that's free and that has snacks, that you can come and enjoy. So everyone, I want everyone down here. I want everyone to have roots down here and experience what makes this city special.
Thank you, Dana. I really appreciate you sharing just the vision of DBI. And gosh, as one of the few people that I know born and raised here in town, and kind of, you really have deep roots. And I think that probably fuels the passion that we see coming from you. So anyways, thank you so much for being here today. I really do appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me. Anytime.
Absolutely. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you. Bye-bye.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed our show today with Dana Schlagenhaft, the Executive Director of Downtown Bentonville. There is so much going on in downtown Bentonville. You'll have to check it out, from the farmers markets to Fridays on the square. They are doing so much to make the downtown Bentonville experience truly memorable while keeping the culture of what makes Bentonville the amazing city that it is. So I hope you'll join us next week in the arena.